Hey everybody, I hope you're surviving and still doing okay in this lockdown. I want to take a few minutes to offer you some midweek succor, which sounds very religious, and I'm sure some of you have no idea what the word succor means, but think, well, you know, if it's good and if it'll help me, I guess I'll take some of that succor, so I'm going to give you some. If you are aware of any issues, any people, any needs during the current situation, particularly those who are members of Q, please let us know so that we can help wherever we can. We're already dealing with some situations which I do not want to share what they are or who they are, but very, very sad and very difficult, which are not people who have COVID-19, but it's the results of the situation that we're in that is causing some great suffering and difficulty. So just be praying and be aware, and hopefully we can all get back together sometime in the near future. So what I want to talk to you about is a particular problem that I have. This problem is that I find it very difficult to rewatch some of my favourite movies. The one that is my most favourite movie is the movie Braveheart, the story of William Wallace and the beginning of the Scots finding their freedom and independence from what was at that time the tyranny of the English and the oppression that they were under. The reason I find it difficult to watch that movie again, although I have rewatched it again, is because all the time I'm watching it on repeat visits, I am all the way through hoping and praying that it will end differently. Now I know that sounds crazy, but it's like I want to watch it to the end, but this time I want William Wallace not to be arrested. I want him not to be taken to London and so cruelly persecuted. I don't want him to have to suffer the ignominy of being hung, drawn and quartered and his head put on a spike as a traitor. I don't want it to end that way. I want some more glorious, amazing, fantastic, heroic end to it other than his own personal demise. Now you might think that's crazy, but it's just something that bugs me and bothers me every time I dare to rewatch it again, which is why I often don't, because I don't want to go through the trauma of the ending. I want it to be different. However, maybe I'm not so crazy as you might think or I might think, because the truth is all of us tend to take the film of our life, the movie of our life, and we tend to rerun it through the process of our mind. And the reason we do that and keep revisiting the past and the experiences of the past is because somehow in our own craziness, we are hoping that if we rerun it in our mind, the end of the film will turn out different to the actual end that we witnessed, saw, experienced. And so we put ourselves through this torment of rerunning the movie of our life, just hoping that some of those things that we went through, if we think enough about them, if we revisit them enough, will turn out differently. Well, of course, that doesn't happen. All that tends to happen is that we, every time we re-show the movie of our life to ourselves, we finish up with some sense of shame, guilt, condemnation, failure, self-loathing, and it never works out good, because the end of the movie is what the end of the movie is, just like with Braveheart. So I wanted to talk to you about something in respect to that, because in the ancient writings in the Old Testament of the Bible, this Jewish prophet called Isaiah, he wrote these words, which I think are very, very important in this context. It's in Isaiah 43 and verse 18 and 19. He said, "Forget, or don't call to mind the former things. Do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I'm making a way in the desert and streams in the wasteland. In other words, he says, don't call to mind the things that were, the past. Don't rerun the movie. Don't dwell on the past. Because, to summarize what he says in verse 19, there is a new thing which is a way through all of that. In other words, you'll only find your way through if you recognize now for the sacred space that it is. The past is no more than a memory, including nostalgia, which is simply the past re-envisioned in the corridors of our mind to make it something that probably it wasn't. And the truth is, the past is no more than a memory, and the future is no more than a fantasy, because the future exists in this moment no more than the past exists in this moment. The past is gone, the future has not happened, and I've always said about tomorrow, the problem with tomorrow is that it never comes, because when you arrive at this space that you think is tomorrow, what do you call it? You call it today, because there is no such a thing as tomorrow. There's no such a thing as yesterday. They are descriptive words to try and engage with the thought of something that has been and something that could be, but the only reality is the now. The past is no more than a memory. The future is no more than a fantasy. Now is the only reality. And this is, and engaging with this and embracing of this is what will deliver us from my movie madness, okay? And your movie madness. What's interesting is that now is the only state that carries within it the potentiality that is spoken of by quantum physicists, okay? I'm not even going to hit the Bible at this moment. Quantum physicists talk about this thing within the whole working of the universe and the cellular structures that they call potentiality, that exists within it, the something that within that is the creative energy of all things, that makes things, that creates things, that changes things. And now is the only state that carries that potentiality that they speak of. And now is the only space occupied by and oozing with divine presence. It's the only space. In the ancient Hebrew scriptures, there is a revelation that their belief system is and should be rooted in. And I think a massive, huge, important understanding about the nature of God and true spirituality, because Moses, this patriarch of the Hebrew people, encounters God in the bush. Now, I'm not here today to discuss the issue of this story of the burning bush. What I would say is that for all of us, it's that thing that happens to try and catch your attention in the busyness of your daily cycle, of your process. Moses' daily cycle was to walk and with his sheep in the wild parts of the desert, the wilderness, where the sheep were taken to graze and to feed and to do whatever the sheep were doing. And the burning bush is the symbol of something that happens to catch your attention within the normality of your daily grind. And I believe that all of us actually have had more burning bushes in our life than we have been willing to recognize. And as it talks about Moses, it talks about him drawing aside to the bush. Most often we, in those situations, don't recognize that interruption for what it is, and so we don't draw aside to see what the bush might tell us, what the voice within the bush might say to us. Well, the voice within that bush that caught Moses' attention, and this is this ancient Hebrew revelation, is that God appeared to Moses, and Moses was told that God's name, The name of the divine, the name of the source, the name of the root of all things is I am. Now that's an interesting thing because it has eliminated the past, which we said is just a memory, and it's eliminated the future, which we said is just fantasy, and it's brought us to this sacred space, which is this moment, this now, which if there is a God, if there is a divine presence, if there is a creator, this is the space that existent being, I won't say he and him because some of you get upset by that, they're just descriptive words, but this is the space in which that power, that presence exists. Just like we've said about the quantum physicists would say that it's the potentiality is in the now. The I am, this presence is in the now. So if the ancient Hebrew scriptures are rooted in the revelation that God is I am, and that is the declaration of divine presence, then what I want to tell you today is that now, right now, is your greatest opportunity. Now is the holder of your great potential. Now is your greatest possession. It's the greatest thing that you have now, being here, alive, in this moment. Now, it's your greatest possession. Now is the sacred space in which all the presence of the divine exists. I want to encourage you with that. It's now. This is the sacred space where all that presence exists. It's where all the creative energy of the universe resides. It's where worlds begin to become what they were imagined to be. Just like in the beginning of the Hebrew scriptures in Genesis 1, it says, God said, let there be. Okay? Let what is imagined be, because that moment, that now, where the creative energy of the universe resides, this moment is where those worlds begin to become what they were imagined to be. The seeds of creation occupy this space looking for expression. Just like in all creation stories, the seeds of those creation occupy this space and they're looking for an expression, which in biblical terms was, and God said, let there be. And it says, and there was. Something flows out of that, even in the midst of the chaos. See, the present is not something, and I think this is important to grasp. When I talk about the present is not something where you simply accept and comply. It's somewhere you embrace and create. It's a very different thing. Not somewhere you simply, well, I just got to accept what is and I have to comply with what that means. No, into the chaos, into the space, into the story, because of the sacred now, there comes a presence that says, here is something we embrace and we create. So you embrace the present, but within it, you embrace it with the perspective that you can create within it, because this moment is sacred and all the potentiality that is necessary for anything that ever needs to be is right here in this moment, at this time, right now. That's the I am presence, it's the nowness, it's the isness. That's where the potentiality is. And I think then with that, there then comes a boldness, a courage, a determination, a fresh breath, a new word, a new world, all out of that. So let me also say that the presence of the sacred, and this is where we've been misled, mistaught, or just misunderstood. The presence of the sacred is not found in a building or in a creed. Now, religion will try to push you to feel that the only place you can really find the presence of the sacred is in a building or in a creed. So we have forms and ceremonies and methods and means by which we try to instill a feeling in people that makes them then think this is where the sacred presence is. There's another story I really love in the book of Genesis, one of the patriarchs of the Hebrew story, which is Jacob, who was the son of Abraham. Abraham was his grandfather. And Jacob's out in the middle of the desert, which always is symbolic of, you're in the testing place of your life, okay? You're in the place where there's not much to see that's going to help you. And the existent circumstances do not create a scenario or a situation that is compliant with joyful existence. And this guy Jacob's out there, and he has an encounter with the divine, which again, it's like the burning bush. He recognized and noticed something that was going on, and he saw it as a divine interruption in his life. And in his distress, he laid down and gone to sleep, and he dreamed, and he saw a stairway that reached from earth to heaven, as best he understood it. And he saw angels descending and ascending on this stairway. Ascending and descending, sorry. So angels ascending and descending on this stairway. A couple of wonderful lessons on that. If the narrative is saying angels were ascending and descending, going up and coming down, it meant that everything that you need for your protection, your help, your inspiration, your guard, your guidance, is already here and present. When he had this dream and he woke up, he called the place Beth El, which means the house of God. And he built an altar there because he said, surely this is the house of God. He thought he'd stumbled upon the space where God actually lives, and where there's a literal stairway. And of course, where he got the whole thing wrong, it was a genuine experience, but where he got it wrong is somehow this particular location is where the house of God must be. And that's the error we get into, that somehow there is a location, there is a specific place, or there is a specific mood, or there is a specific creed, or there is a specific atmosphere in which God dwells. Not true. Absolutely not true. I believe what, again, in the ancient scriptures says that the whole earth is full of his glory. I don't believe there's any separation. I don't believe the divine presence is somewhere else. I think the divine presence is not only here, but is within. And so the presence of the sacred is not found in a building or a creed, even though for some of us that may be where we encountered it. And I accept that. But it's not found in a building or a creed, but it's found in the now. It's found in an understanding of embracing you and the moment, you in the moment and you, this now, this existent space as it is, because it's in the now which we all exist and which is present in all. We all exist in the now, and the now is present in all of us, and that's the sacred space. If you would just understand it, that if you will embrace it, then the very essence of all that is the potentiality can begin to find an outlet, an expression, a creative explosion, little big bangs, if you like, to occur in our life. And I love that phrase, because I want you to have, people talk about, was the earth created out of a big bang? Well, whatever. What I want for you is little big bang moments where new worlds come to being because of this. So now is the only sacred space in which the divine reality becomes revealed. If you can grab the now, you have found the sacred space, and divine reality will become revealed to you if you grab the now, not the past, not the future, but truly grab the now. As I said before, which I think is very important, it is not something you simply accept and comply. The present is not something where you simply accept and comply. It's somewhere you embrace and create, to embrace the now so that something might be created within and out of it, because now is the only sacred space in which divine reality becomes revealed. It's an experience, not a performance. So you can't perform this, whatever it is we're talking about. You can only experience it, and you experience it by embracing this now, this isness, this I amness. If we forget the past, as we read at the beginning from the words of Isaiah, if we forget the past, then every day is a new beginning with infinite potential. If we don't forget the past, then we never get the benefit of truly having a new day. I mean, a new beginning with infinite potential, because it's always troubled. Just like me with the movie, I want this to end differently. I become bound up in dislike and discomfort and irritation because I cannot forget the past, right? So if we forget the past, if we can do that, then every day is a new beginning with infinite potential. And that's what I call, what we need to call, what you need to understand is the sacred now. I'm trying to get you to engage with the sacred now, because that's where the life potential of creation emerges and gives us new beginnings and gives us new worlds. So maybe the greatest prayer of acceptance that you can declare today, as you fully engage with this truth, is to boldly declare, I am. I believe if you can do that today, something will shift and something will change, and this space called the sacred now will become a creative energy that releases to you something that you could only ever have imagined. Bless you. We love you. I'll come back with another message at the weekend. Until then, I hope this has inspired you and will give you something to carry you through today, declaring, I am.